Welcome to another episode of the Weekly Wednesday Warrior, sponsored by Power Card Games and Comics in bright, sunny Port Ewan, New York. It is no longer looking sepia out here, which is nice. My name is Skylar Hathaway.
I'm Chris Potter.
Welcome to the show. We have dueling laptops out. You can see Chris's, you may not be able to see mine. And the reason for that is New York Comic Con is only 4 months away. So they are releasing tickets today, and you can't mess around with that kind of thing. So we are in the queue. We are in the episode. We are multitasking for you, because we love to do what we do for you. That being said, Chris, what do we got on the docket today?
Today we're talking about Daredevil number 12, Phantom Road number 4, Joker number 9, and Dark Knights of Steel 11.
That's about right. And if we have enough time, we're even going to make it over to Batman 136.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going to kick this off with Daredevil. But honorable mentions.
Sure.
First and foremost, we have a very active subscriber by the name of Masked Panther. Reached out to the shop recently to tell us how nice and effective our show is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Masked Panther. Appreciate that. Building community here with the Weekly Wednesday Warrior.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
It was
very kind of him.
Really sweet, really sweet. I would not suggest everybody call the shop to give us praise, though. So don't do that unless you really find it necessary. Okay, honorable mentions outside of subscribers. Adventures of John Kent, issue 4 for me was really good this week. As a Tom Taylor book. He's tying it into Injustice, which is pretty cool. And Adam Warlock number 2. I was absolutely surprised by how good that book was.
Oh, awesome.
I have a really, and no offense to Ron Mars, he's an amazing guy, but some of his stuff just isn't as depth-driven as some of the other stuff that I read in comics. And this issue of Adam Warlock was really good. It was surprisingly filled with all sorts of stuff. Thematically, the art looked really good. Ron Lynn's doing the art. You don't see him on interiors unless he really likes the guy who's writing stuff. Yeah. So those are, and Noctera was okay too, I guess. Noctera 15 was fine. What do you got, Chris?
I'm going to throw a mention at Flash 800. It's Jeremy Adams' last issue. He's been writing the book for 40 issues now.
Really his last issue?
Yeah, he's done.
It's a great number to go out on, at least.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I feel good for him, but I'm bummed he's gone. The word on the street and from him is that he was kicked off the book, not chose to leave the book. So that's unfortunate, but he's been doing a great job. Totally recommend supporting it. And then Shazam number 2, Dan Moore art. It's not our cup of tea entirely, but Dan Moore is killing it.
And Mark Waid writing it, so it's
going to be. It's been really solid. Yeah.
All right, now that honorable mentions are out of the way, and we have done our justice to our subscribers, new subscribers, we got Daredevil. We got the same cover because it's the Mark Gicchetto cover, but we're not going to get the variant.
I think this one's breathtaking.
It's a great cover, and the first note that I have is that this reminds me of a Spider-Man comic.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, the cover. Yeah.
They're hanging upside down and stuff.
Hanging upside down. The stringy material surrounding them.
The lackadaisical masks off. That's a Spider-Man trope if I've ever seen.
Floating up too. It's really cool.
That dude loves to take his mask off. So this sweet cover. Moving right along. He's on a ship. He's on his way to Japan to relieve Blind Spot from a job we didn't even know he was doing.
No.
That being said, I love Blind Spot. I think he's one of the most unsung Marvel heroes there is in comics, period.
Definitely the highlight of when Charles Soule was on the title.
I'd say the only good part of that run. I really don't like Charles Soule's writing. that can go in the books. But Blind Spot's sweet, and I think Charles Soule is the reason that Echo Maya is relevant too. I think that was also Charles Soule. Okay. So he's done a few things for Daredevil and Marvel Comics. He's just the way he writes just isn't my preference. But that being said, you know where I thought where this book was going when it was going through?
No.
I thought it was going to be Matt exiting as Daredevil in one fashion or another, and I thought he was going to give the mantle over. I thought he was going to go to Blind Spot and say, Blind Spot, I can't do this anymore. It's driving me mad. It's driving me crazy.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore. You're the best. I clearly would need you to take over the role of the mantle of Daredevil. Will you do it? And I think Blind Spot's from the city too. So he has.
I believe so.
So he has ties and the ability. So that's I really thought that was where we were going. And I thought this book was going to end with issue 12, and then they were going to restart another Daredevil run, which they have already done only after 30 issues or so.
Yeah.
That's not where the book went. So we get an editor's note as soon as he arrives in Japan that Blind Spot was sent here to guard the gates of hell, basically. And by stick.
Yeah.
And this came out of somehow the Charles Soule run on Daredevil. So maybe if you've been reading Daredevil for 10 years now, you might actually know this more than we knew it. So Daredevil shows up, and he's there, and he's trying to talk Blind Spot out of doing what he's doing because he wants to take Blind Spot's role, or at least that's what he conveys to Blind Spot. And Blind Spot's like, "Oh, dude, really? I can go on vacation?" And Matt's like, "Yeah, man, it would bring me joy to know that you're on vacation, enjoying your life, and not just sitting here waiting for hell to come and swallow you."
Yeah.
And so Blind Spot, clearly not able to read Matt's intentions properly, goes and does his thing. Just leaves Matt to guard the gates of hell.
Right.
Why do these gates need to be guarded? There's a beast that comes and escapes occasionally, and only can come through this area. That's why Blind Spot is there to take care of this beast.
It's like the devil god of the hand. It's the thing they worship that gives them purpose.
And I'm glad you clarified that because I'm extremely confused by the end of this issue, by the way.
Okay.
So Matt's there, and he's starting to guard the thing or whatever, so we think. But then he has this inner monologue about how this is the final portion of the prophecy that he was handed through the book, and he's done everything the book has told him to do. And there has literally been almost no shots of this book. We've seen no words out of the book. This could all just be Matt's inner craziness, driving him forward again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And that would not be out of character either. So he's gone to this place because he hears that if you die next to the gates of hell here, you will immediately be sent to hell regardless of how redeemed your soul or your spirit is or whatever.
Yeah.
The Catholicism in this book drives me up a wall because, and I've said this before, Matt Murdock has been Heimdall. He's been to Asgard.
Yeah.
He's seen other heavens. He's seen other hells. He's met Mephisto on more than one occasion. Why does he still think there's some sort of Catholic hell? Also, how do you get there? If he's been to the Mephisto's hell and he's been to a different heaven, there has to be to get to Asgard you have to die in battle or something, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So, all right, how do you get to Catholic heaven? You have to die
being Catholic.
I don't know. There's not enough here, and I know that Daredevil is interwoven into Christianity and stuff, and more accurately Catholicism.
Yeah.
But I don't like that it's playing this huge role at the moment in the book because I don't understand the myth behind it. Because they're trying to weave it into the book. The beast is supposed to be some sort of Catholic devil, I guess, right? And why would Daredevil be fighting the Hand to this extent unless he thought that this was an enemy of God?
Yeah. Well,
A Catholic God, more accurate.
Yes. I think he thinks the Hand and the beast are an enemy of God, but not in a biblical way. I think he just means that they're like sinners.
But he's so willing to sacrifice his life to go and take care of it.
Kind of crazy.
So it's got to be some level of biblical. Oh, no, I know he's crazy, but I'm trying to make the point that...
Because he even mentions the beast's hell is different from Mephisto's hell, but it's not hell. He's not in the Christian hell. He's in the realm of the beast. And there is a ton of different hells. Because the thing with religion in Marvel Comics, they have to kind of skirt around all of it, so it can all be real.
They don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah. Well, because, depending on who you ask, Jack Kirby is God, capital G, God in the Marvel Universe. Fantastic Four have met him.
Right.
But, it all just depends on who's writing it, who believes what they want to do. And I think this Catholicism theme, it's been pretty... constant in Daredevil comics ever since Frank Miller wrote the book.
Yeah.
You know.
But in any case, you're so right. Matt is still very well off the deep end even further, I'd even argue.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, which this is total mysticism, he really thinks that if he dies there, he's just going to be shuffled off to this dimension he needs to go to or whatever.
Yeah.
So he is prepared to commit, what's the Harakiri? He's prepared to Harakiri, and Elektra shows up. And there's this really nice little thing that he says. He's thinking about his life and the decisions he's made, and he says, "I'm so grateful for that tornado of jasmine," or something close to that. And he's like, "Speaking of that tornado of jasmine," and he turns around and there's Elektra with her hair blowing in what wind that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And which I love Chichetto's this Greek woman black hair that he does is really cool. It's non-functional.
Yeah,
absolutely non-functional.
It's visually stunning.
So, so Elektra's there, and she knows what Matt's really there for. He might have been able to tell Blind Spot that he was there to take his job, but he was lying. He's there to kill himself and end up in this hell so he can fight the Beast and save Foggy.
Right.
Why he thinks Foggy's with the Beast? Don't know, because he's crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's crazy.
The Hand presumably had a role in getting rid of Stick and Foggy.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a solid chance that Foggy's just in actual hell.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't know how this shit works. So
And they're never going to explain it.
No, so Matt's crazy is really what I'm trying to convey here. And Elektra's trying to save him from his craziness to some extent. Elektra may be a good person in Daredevil. It's Matt. Might be a person worth his time. But at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure that her alliances are to the right things. She did break out of jail recently.
Right. Yeah, without Matt's help, because the whole last issue, part of it was him breaking her out through the legal system. That was not what happened. No, she got herself out on
She was already out, which is one of the things the guys talk about, the guys that are getting released in the beginning of this issue talk about.
But I do appreciate the sentiment that Matt's giving, that she has found some redemption, and the reason he's calling her a good person is not that she's particularly that she's more moral than she was, I think. She's trying to not kill Matt, which I don't think she would anyway, but she's taking up his mantle, and he finds some hope in that, even if it's sort of false hope or fleeting hope, that he has inspired something greater than himself.
Yeah, it is sweet, that's for sure. But that's what I mean by she's definitely being nice to Matt, but I don't know if she's actually prepared to fully be Daredevil at this point.
And we'll find out, depending on how this runs.
That's for sure. So she's really there to stop Matt. So they get in a classic situation, so classic, in fact, Mark Cicchetto goes through the effort of showing us Daredevil and Elektra through the ages on a double-page spread that I'll pull up. But they are fighting, and they're fighting more even beautifully amongst flowers in Japan. Yeah. There's this really nice scene also along there with the flowers in the background and stuff like that.
The locations throughout this issue, 2 issues ago, we had a lot of really good snowy environments when Daredevil was fighting Spider-Man, and this issue got to draw a lot of warm autumn leaves and cherry blossoms, and it gives this book a melancholic and really beautiful feeling.
Mm-hmm. So
it really elevates the emotions on display.
So they fight because Daredevil wants to kill himself and Elektra wants to save him, and in the classic setting of this, it was a Daredevil who had failed, and Elektra had died. In this situation, it is reversed. Elektra fails, and Daredevil ends up forcing her to stab him, thus killing him shortly thereafter.
Both killed with the same side, presumably.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So I'm currently looking through this because I have a note that I wanted to read, something that they said, but I have to find the page, so bear with me in regards to that. But, so, Matt dies, right? And it's a really cool little death because they show him with, his eyes aren't even there. Yeah. It's really jarring. There's nothing being said from him after his words kind of die along with him. And he wakes up again, elsewhere. We're not quite sure where, but we can only assume so much, right, based on what we've been told in this issue. Yeah. That he has successfully made it to the dimension that he's looking for, or whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it a dimension because this is sci-fi comics. I don't have a better word for this kind of thing.
And again, he's not fighting like a Catholic devil. This is like a ninja devil thing.
We're completely unsure, realistically.
We've seen the Beast before.
We've seen the Beast before?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a pretty regular thing. Since Shadowland, I think, in Daredevil comics. Which was 09, I think.
Oh. I did not know. Did not know this was a reoccurring character of some sort.
Yeah.
So that's cool. All right, they're bringing something back. I can have respect for that. And so he wakes up, and he's his dad is there, and he's confused because couldn't see his dad in hell, right? But
Yeah.
like it's a different hell, so he doesn't ask why he's in this different hell. He just asks why he's in hell in general. And his dad's like, "Oh, because I was so proud." It's kind of corny. I don't know what's happening there, man. I don't understand this stuff. Is he in hell or is he not in hell? Why is his dad there? This is a figment of his imagination. Is he even dead? Is this all in his brain as he's dying? You know, like...
Well, because the dad follows with him into hell, so I presume it's something of the demon's machinations, the beast.
Yeah, this could be...
The beast seems to be waiting for him to some extent.
This could be all on the beast. I don't know. There are clearly no answers, and we're not going to get any at the end of this issue or anything.
Right.
He wakes up in hell, and his dad's there, and he's going to go and head into the labyrinth that the beast owns, and he gets a suit change that I'm going to credit to Tom Taylor first. If you remember correctly, in the end of Deceased, as Damian was about to die in a very similar situation.
The white Batman.
They put on a white Batman suit.
Yeah.
Also, Tom Taylor did it first in Batman in regards to the Alfred Leslie Tompkin relationship. That was in DC Dead Earth starting from issue 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So Chip Zdarsky is ripping off of Tom Taylor.
The timing is too close for it to... On the costume thing.
And we know Zdarsky's reading comics.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, unless he's talking to Tom Taylor and Tom's like, yo, check out this sick drawing.
They might be.
There's no... I mean, they're both on the Batman team, so it's possible. I'm just saying it's not something you saw, like, in print. Because there's no way.
No, yeah, probably not. But maybe.
It's a similar idea of these characters being absolved to, like, some holy purpose, and they wear this white costume.
So anyway,
very similar thing.
The thing I was looking through this book for is there's a line that as Daredevil is dying, he says, "I see it so clearly, Elektra, but he has no eyes."
Yeah.
Which I think is probably the funniest, but the most driving quote in this book. So powerful and important and stuff. As he's dying, he finally sees what his future is meant to be and stuff like that. He feels like he's doing the right thing. He's at some level of peace and stuff, even though he's lost his eyes completely. You got anything to add along here, Chris?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been talking for a half hour.
Again, Cicchetto sells this book. He has the whole time. Zdarsky is a great writer, but it's elevated so much by what Cicchetto and the colorist.
And the colorist, Rafael Della Torre.
Yeah,
yes.
They're really
No. Rafael Della Torre is the dude who did the art in the last issue, which was good, by the way. Like, as a fill-in for Cicchetto, the last issue was really, really good.
Yeah.
That being said, Matthew Wilson is the colorist on this book, sorry.
And there's a couple of amazing silhouettes. When Daredevil's first going to commit suicide, there's a 2-panel wordless sequence of him going to stab himself. Percy's like holding the sword upright and then holding it towards him. Yep. Beautiful silhouettes, marked by this really cool fire effect that I imagine is mostly the colorist, because they're putting all these... It's. I thought for a second it was a photo insert, just because it's not. I look at it and you can see the textures Cicchetto puts in his effects like this. Okay. But it was really well done. It really sold the mood. It gave it like this, like, very gritty quality. I think.
Yeah.
And that's something I think throughout. He draws great shadows. The immediate next panel when Elektra first appears, there's this wide panel. It's Elektra on the left, Daredevil on the right, and he's going to stab himself, and he's in shadows, and I was blown away. I thought it was just the coolest panel. It was so, like, well done. You can see all the important details, nothing is lost, but it's mostly shadow. It's almost an entirely black drawing of Daredevil.
I'd say this issue was pretty quick, too, but what really keeps you there is the art itself. There's just a lot to look at in the way that he renders things.
It adds, like, a melancholic feeling to me, just the way the setting is, everyone's expression.
I'd say it's even to the point of fitting. Like, when I open up this Daredevil book, I feel like I'm back home again when Cicchetto's doing it, because it just feels right, it feels proper, it feels like what I've been looking for in the title overall. I think he's really nailing it, that Chichetto, man. I'm going to be sad when both these guys leave this book and go somewhere else.
Yeah. Hopefully Chichetto ends up on that.
But Chichetto's one of those guys, too. He's become so popular through this title, he might go the DWJ route and just start doing covers, not do so many interiors anymore.
Or his own indie book or something.
He can do, well, I don't know if Chichetto's writing chops. We'll have to find out. We'll find out.
I think one of the best lines in this book perfectly summarizes the situation, these characters. Matt tells Elektra that he's going to hell for God and is the only logical thing for the Catholic devil. And Elektra responds to him, it's the only right thing for the pious narcissist.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an amazing line.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since he's not doing any of the things he said he's doing. Again, he's not going to the Catholic devil to fight for the Catholic God or anything of that nature. He's off the deep end, driving straight into crazy. So it is what it is. There's something that they said in this book I think is worth mentioning, and that's that Elektra makes a comment about that they're fully capable to revive Foggy.
Yeah.
Fully capable. She's just like, oh, it's a matter of time, is really what she said.
Right.
So that's
Elektra's died how many times?
That's his whole driving force to go into this, really. It's Foggy's death. He has to go save Foggy, but Elektra is so confident that she can bring him back. Just goes to show that no one stays dead in comics.
Yeah.
And apparently Matt just doesn't understand the universe he was born into. Again and again and again. He is looking at a zombie lady as he walks and talks and still can't swallow that he can bring his friend back, no problem.
Yeah.
They just got to go and make a deal with some stupid magician man or something.
Right.
Who knows? So that... Matt, it's... I read this book and I really do enjoy it, but Matt is not a relatable character by almost any means. He's a dumbass. He's ignorant. He's self-centered, self-destructive. He doesn't even seem to really value the relationships that he set up, even though he continuously tries to go back and say, "No, I do." Then he fucks it up all over again.
Yeah.
So. So that's where we're at with this book. Is Matt's off the deep end on his own now.
Yeah.
He's literally tripping hard through hell, balls, world dimension. Who knows what's going to happen, or how he's going to make it back, or if he makes it back. Maybe this run ends with him actually just being officially dead.
Yeah, we'll see. I
would love to see Blind Spot as Daredevil. I'll read a Blind Spot.
That'd be great.
Title tomorrow.
Him watching Elektra, seeing how she develops.
Fantastic. It'd be like an Azrael story for Daredevil.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Oh my God! Let me write it. I'll do it. You got anything else though, Chris?
No. We're closing in on the end. I think there's 2 issues left.
Yeah.
So
oh wow.
We'll see how we wrap it up.
Well, crap. All right. Moving right along. Phantom Road
4.
Number 4. Cover. Same cover. We got variant cover by James Herron because we're both James Herron fans.
Good stuff.
No offense to Gabriel Walta, who is carrying this title just as well as the writer.
Right.
Opens up, same as the last couple of issues with Phantom Road, with a appearance of what's going to happen at the end of the book.
Right.
And we get to see this little, what I've been calling I described it as a stone animal thing. I'm officially changing my description to fossilized animal thing.
Oh.
Because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like it's got legs and like a head.
Yeah, no, I definitely see it.
So some sort of fossilized animal thing, and there's somebody that's going to take a hammer to it, and we skip ahead, and we have I think do we catch up with the detective first, or we
start with the truckers, Dom and Birdie.
We start with Birdie and Dom, so they're in the truck and they're trying to get to know each other basically.
Well, Birdie's trying to get to know Dom. Dom doesn't really want to talk.
And I'm under the impression that they are both lying to each other.
For sure.
And I'm under this impression because in the issue that we didn't have the opportunity to do, the last issue, we get revealed that Birdie's fiance was already married with kids.
Yes.
And
she's an unknown.
And she's an unknown, and not just that, but she was claiming that was her fiance, which is not possible.
Yeah.
So, unless she thought that he was being honest or something like that. But there's just too many things going on with both of these characters for you to trust anything that they say realistically.
Yes.
And this might even be, since it's somewhat of a biblical story, it seems, this might even be like a redemption story for both of these characters. That might be why they're so attached and driven to the thing that they have to bring to Golgotha or whatever.
Right.
So they do a bunch of chatting. They get on each other's nerves real quick, but Birdie's really just trying to get Dom to sleep because I guess he's been driving for 24 hours, 48 hours, something crazy. Yep. So he's like, okay, yeah, I'll sleep for an hour. But she has ulterior motives. She's not truly trying to get him. I mean, what is an hour of sleep going to do for a person who's driving 48 hours?
Right.
That's
refreshes the brain.
That's a drop in her bucket. Maybe a little for a couple hours or something.
Yeah.
And he says he even says he doesn't do any drugs or anything to keep himself going. He's just an honest, true man.
Because he's a born-again Christian, we learn. That's one of the main things we get from this conversation.
Right.
It's both he had a family but doesn't anymore.
Or that's what he tells us.
Yeah. Right. And he's a born-again Christian.
Yeah. Which explains
wasn't born Christian.
Explains the cross that's been hanging from the dashboard for the past 3 issues.
Yeah.
And I remember me and Chris talking about, he had a flashback and we weren't sure if he was the kid in the situation or the father in the situation. This revelation only makes that more unclear.
Yes.
We really don't know if he was the kid or the father in that situation earlier in this book.
Right, because I think the picture is of the family we saw in the flashback.
Picture's just of a kid. It's just one kid in
okay.
the picture. So, clearly to be developed through the course of the story. They're picking up beats and they're leaving them to thus be figured out later. It's a good way to write a story. You always have something interesting. What I also thought was interesting is we didn't see either of these characters last issue.
No.
The last issue we introduced 2 new main characters, which was Agent Weaver and this young police detective that I've already forgotten the name of.
Dunn or Dern?
Yeah, something like that with a D for sure. And they help each other out, but then the Agent Weaver gets kidnapped at the end of the issue.
Yeah.
So as Dom and Birdie are traveling, we cut over to Agent Weaver, and she's being kidnapped. She is now in a room. She's trapped in a room, being tied to a chair. And some dude walks into the room, interrogates her, and asks her about a project called Blind Spot, Blind Knife, Blind something. Jackknife. We have no idea what that means. We have no idea what the relation is. We get a flashback after she hears the thing, and she gets asked about like the bear truck stops or whatever. Yeah. She gets a flashback to a time when she was at a bear truck stop, and it looked really similar to the color scheme of when Dom and Birdie were also at that Billy Bear truck stop.
Yeah, we also see the things. Like it's a rundown version of it, so she's definitely in that other dimension.
Right. So she's been in this other dimension. She has some insight. We understand why she's chasing these things down, at least in her eyes. And everybody on her side, their bosses and stuff, her coworkers, are telling her to be careful over and over again. From what it seems might be a complication she's had in the past with another mission or something. There's a lot about these characters. We don't know what's going on, but it's all very interesting and really driving the story forward. So she gets interrogated a little. She doesn't give any information. She really makes it seem like she doesn't have any information. And from her flashback, she was a 5-year-old kid. What does she really remember of the situation anyway that she can make sense of?
And how they present these flashbacks, I don't think they're conscious, or she consciously remembers them. I think they're like repressed to some extent.
Yeah.
She sees the body, and she's seen these things before, and she only gets visions of it in like dreams or like daydreams when she almost is like passing out.
Yep. And so I keep getting this vibe too. I don't know if you're getting the same vibe. The dude that's interrogating her is the dude who was in the Hawaiian shirt that was helping out Dom and Birdie earlier. And not just that, but I think that dude's her dad. Because in one of the flashbacks, she was being held by that dude. That dude was right next to her, still in a Hawaiian shirt. So I think that this guy is maybe our main player in regards to the bad side of things. I think this guy's trying to manipulate all of these people that we've been dealing with. I don't know why. I don't know how. One of the things that he says in the last issue when she gets kidnapped is, "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you." Like, he makes that very clear that she's not in danger. Calm down. Right. And during the interrogation, she's also not hurt at all. She's barely even interrogated, really. And then as the interrogator's going to leave, he gives her a knife to free herself.
Right. And closely then after all the information, presumably, she leaves the room and finds a file and like a gun with the jackknife project name on it.
Which is how the issue closes. But before the issue closes, we cut back to Birdie and Dom. Dom is now asleep. Birdie exits the truck to go into the cab to take a hammer to this thing because they were talking about destroying the thing. Maybe that'll solve the problem. Dom thought it was a bad idea because he could feel a connection to it. Assumed Birdie did the same. She goes, she takes the hammer, she goes and she smacks the damn thing, and boom, triggers a flashback with lighting similar to when they first entered this weird dimension.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this yellowish green that shoots out of this fossilized animal thing, and it gives her a slew of flashbacks. Mostly what I gained from those flashbacks, I'll pull the page up since we didn't have a whole lot of pages pulled up for this, she was some level of a party animal, young party animal, made a bunch of bad choices, ended up on the street, and then she may have been some level of prostitute. She got picked up by another truck driver, this guy that she was in the car with, or something. She ended up at another truck stop and then ended up with this guy. Either way, this guy is clearly just some dude that picked her up for the benefit of what she performs. Definitely not her husband. Definitely not, people who even have any ties together or anything like that. Which explains why she's not so beat up and crying over the fact of her dead fiance or whatever. So she takes a moment back after she gets this rush of flashbacks and she realizes she should probably not, hammer the thing to death.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Weaver, who exits the room now that she's got a knife to free herself. The guy who's threatening her is no longer there or anywhere to be seen. She exits the room into a warehouse where there's a table with nothing but her cell phone and a file with the name Jackknife on it that she goes and reads. This dude is strange. That's why I'm super confident it's this one guy.
Right.
And also the art, the way these eyes are rendered, face is rendered, mouth is rendered, it looks like the same guy. I don't think that this dude is pure evil. I just think that he knows more than everybody else and is in that manipulative position that he has to make sure everything goes according to plan or whatever the plan is. Do you have anything to add to that summary, Chris?
Not to the summary.
Okay.
Just on art, I think that yellowish green you mentioned is a constant theme in this book.
Yeah.
I think our characters are all under different impressions of what this thing is.
The colors are honestly driving the book in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like each of the situations has such a different palette of colors that you can easily determine where you are in the comic as the thing goes on just based on the colors that are happening.
And the yellowish green of the interrogation room is similar to the yellowish green of the flashbacks and the other world.
Yeah. Always
and
really
they're all kind of tied together in that way, so I really appreciate that. And I really like Gabriel Walta's lines. He uses really interesting hatching. Single line hatching, which I don't see a lot. He doesn't do any cross hatching.
Yeah. I think it's worth to be mentioned that they're currently driving the real world too. They're not in the other dimension until towards the end of the book, I think.
Yes.
And so theoretically the Agent Weaver and the police could possibly find them, cause them a bunch of problems in their travel and stuff. So we'll see how that pans out.
I think the issue ends with them in the other world. Because she finds all the monsters.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I don't know what transitions them from one to the other either.
The flashback.
Right.
When she exits the truck and finds everything.
Right, and
it screams for dawn.
Yeah, right. So she after she hits Birdie hits the thing with a hammer, there's a bunch of weird zombies waiting for her on the other side. It's been a solid title again so far. It's a slow burn for sure. There's next to no action in these comics. So it's a perfect indie title in that phrase. I think it's funny it's being pumped out of Image Comics, which 30 years ago was not known for stuff like this.
No.
But this is where Image Comics is at these days.
They almost shy away from the action too, because there are action scenes that could take place, like in issue 1, for example, when they fight all the things, whatever they are.
Right.
And we just cut away from it because it's not the point of this book at all, and would only take up page space from more important character or world building stuff.
Right. Or maybe at the end of the last issue, Agent Weaver could have fought against her kidnapper a little bit more. We didn't see any of that. That was a black page, just a black page with a word bubble on it. So they're taking interesting choices in the book, and I think it's strictly just to continue to drive the plot forward, drive the characters forward. Make it so you're not concentrating on anything that is unimportant. Which I think is impressive, because I'd say that this is another comic where every panel is necessary.
Yeah.
They're really doing a lot in the book, pushing it forward, driving it crazy. I mean, I put this one after Daredevil, but now that we've talked about Daredevil, I think that both of these are on par. I don't think they should have been swapped for either or. I think these were both really good titles this week. Yeah. Daredevil might have even been a little bit better just because I have a preference towards the character going back 30 years.
Yeah, I have a preference for the title in general. I'm really biased towards Daredevil. I think this is that's my most enduring.
It's got your favorite writer, one of your favorite artists on it. So it's going to be a tough sell to overdo it.
But again, this is on par, and that's impressive.
It's really impressive. Jeff Lemire, Gabriel Walta, Jordi Belair, they're killing it. This variant covered by James Herron is pretty cool too.
It's
That does Phantom Road, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I have
Yeah.
anything else.
You know what? We should answer the big questions. Why should you buy the title? What's good about the title?
Right.
Why should you buy this title? It's probably one of the best indie books on the wall. It's concentrating on characters. It's a lot like a TV show. Most of the things that Jeff Lemire does could easily be translated to TV.
Yeah.
He knows how to serialize a story. He knows how to keep us interested. And he can even swap out his main characters and we still want to read the book.
Yeah.
There are plenty of titles, they try and do that, and they fall short, and it drives me up a wall. I didn't skip a beat with this one.
Yeah.
And then, why is it good? For the same reasons I just answered of why you should buy the book. It's and also if you like truckers.
Yeah.
It's one of the only trucker titles on the wall next to Noctera.
Good mystery book.
Yeah, me and Chris don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's relative to Faith, and it's bothering me a lot less than Daredevil is. Okay, I think that beats it up about enough, right? Moving on to Dark Knights of Steel.
Okay.
I've summarized the past 2 issues. Chris, why don't you hit
Dan
this
Moore
one?
cover.
Yes, Dan Moore. One of my least favorite Dan Moore covers, though, and I think it's not even his fault. Even I think it's really the times of this comic calls for darker colors, less bright stuff, and I like it when Dan Moore's stuff shines bright, like this poster behind me.
Right. Yeah.
And these are the same characters basically on that poster. Just the times call for different color palettes.
All right.
But yeah, man, shoot.
All right. So the book opens with kind of a tangent. It's just Harley, Lois Lane, and Constantine. They're having a little meeting of the minds. They basically just say they're gonna mess some stuff up. We're gonna change the world.
They're kind of the first lieutenants of each of their corresponding kings and queens and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the first lieutenants,
The advisory role.
The first non-fighting lieutenants describing what they think they should do going forward.
Right. And hard cut from that, we just see like them talking, and we cut to Bruce and Clark. They're having a conversation about because Bruce had talked to Clark about being his brother, but he hadn't gotten a chance to really talk to Clark because of all this situation with the White Martians.
Yeah.
Things are different now.
Oh yeah.
So they have a real heart-to-heart where Clark really embraces Bruce as his brother, and he's kind of excited about it.
One of my prime notes is that the nice emotional bonds and ties bringing the book and characters together in this particular issue.
Yeah.
This particular issue is really emotionally driven because finally the characters more or less have a moment to grieve, have a moment to see what the hell has been happening, have a moment to collect themselves as they prepare for war.
Yes. And so we cut to the leader of the White Martians. We're going to cut a lot in this book. This book jumps around.
Nothing but cutting. Yeah, it's cut. But it works well. It flows fine.
Yeah, and we have a lot to do. There's one issue left.
Yeah,
We've really only just established the threat of the book.
Yeah, and literally the last issue.
Yeah. So, but a while ago, Bruce found a meteor of kryptonite that depowers him and Clark. The White Martians have it. They're making weapons out of it using laser vision that they have.
Yeah.
Maybe from the Kryptonians?
Who knows?
Maybe they can take power?
I don't know. That one bothered me because, if that goes wrong, they're all on fire, right?
Yeah.
But they're using laser vision anyway, so whatever.
I guess lasers aren't technically flame.
Right, but later in the book, they have to make the dimension, Phantom Zone.
Oh, right.
What do they do to heat it up?
Burn it.
Use the lasers. What do they do? Lasers. Anyway.
So yeah, Protax, he makes this weapon, but he has a personal grudge against John Jones, who's been parading as Alfred in this whole story. So he goes to kill him first. Bruce and Clark intervene. They both can hear him. They have
John Jones.
Yes,
John Johns.
John Johns.
It's John Johns, but most people don't bother to say the apostrophe.
Right.
John Jones. That's him when he's a detective. He's John Jones.
Right.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I just assumed they were pronounced the same.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
No, you're not wrong.
Either way, Protax goes to fight them. There's 2 super people there. He didn't bring the weapons he just made for whatever reason, but he just went to kill the Green Martian real quick.
Take out Martian.
It's a quick assassination job, but he has telepathy and the super people have super hearing. They figure it out quickly, drive him out of there. So we cut again. They're back at the castle a couple days later. They're setting up these flame defenses. They've been building
everywhere.
Moats.
No, not they. Diana and Supergirl alone.
Right.
Are in the book. That's what they list. The art shows a little something different, but the book states that Diana and Zara alone build a moat. And it took me a second. I was like, Diana and Zara alone, and then I went, oh wait, yeah,
that's super.
That's fine. We just watched Starfire lift a bunch of rubble off of a person in Nightwing, issues ago. This is totally fine. Why would they need any help in building a moat? It's Superwoman and Supergirl.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, rather. So yeah, they build a moat.
They build a moat of fire. They put fire everywhere. There's torches
they
everywhere.
Dump a bunch of gasoline, a gasoline river, basically, into the moat, and they set it on fire. There's fire everywhere.
And while that's happening, they freed John Jones after his assassination attempt. John Johns.
Yeah. He's Alfred, or he was Alfred. Bruce and Clark show up. They hear his cries. And they show up to save Alfred / John John / Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, but after that, they're talking about, like, John is apologizing to Bruce, like, I know you're never going to forgive me.
They have that heart-to-heart, and Bruce is holding the lasso of truth.
Yeah, and also
says,
tells John, like, read my mind, and he's, like, taken aback. He's like, you can't think that way. He's like, I've spent my whole life as the Batman, treating people, like, arresting people different from me, and now I know, like, my father is different, I'm different, I have a whole different perspective, you've been the same person the whole time, why would I really feel any differently?
He's doing this very logically, which is impressive, and it still plays to Batman. But I have a note that says, that after Bruce says his piece, that his face for the rest of the issue has, like, a more positive demeanor on it.
Yeah.
But I don't even think it's just his face. I think after all of these revelations, I think Bruce has not become relaxed, but more of a human being and less of like a knight.
Yes.
I think that he's starting to see the possibilities of the kingdom that he belongs to and his appreciation for it, up to and including the people he goes and frees moments later.
Yes. Which is what he does next. He goes and frees everyone in the prison. Green Arrow.
Detective Chimp.
Not Zaz. Zaz is there. They make a note that, like,
it's
they're not
Zaz,
free.
it's Calendar Man.
Oh.
It's Calendar Man with the calendar around his head.
Yeah.
I'm sure Zaz is in there too, though. He's definitely not being let
They're not
free.
freeing everyone, just the people the Batman is incorrectly imprisoned.
And the way they say it is kind of confusing because Harley's like, no murderers! But then they free Oliver, who killed the king. But Bruce
they have
is
a
like,
whole conversation about
it's
it.
It's like a moral, ethical thing that I guess Batman has put enough thought into in this small amount of time to justify
and Clark
the release
forgives
of
him
Oliver.
for killing his father. He's like, I know you were
it's Clark. It's Clark. Right.
He's like, you were a martyr. You were doing this for your kingdom. You thought you were doing what was right for the prophecy. We've all been misled by the prophecy.
Right.
I forgive you.
I guess I could see Clark forgiving him a lot faster than Bruce can. Now
for
that I
sure.
think about it. Clark's a lot more of a empathetic kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
the last thing not the last thing that happens.
But we cut to the L's.
Yeah, they're having an advisory meeting with Amanda Waller, who is very much against releasing all the super people, all the gifted, I think they call them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And she leaves in a huff.
Yeah.
And the L's have this plan at, like, the dead of night that they go to enact. And they're going back to their ship because there's, like, some plans on it for something. And they quickly build this thing we find out is the Phantom Zone projector.
Yeah.
Trap the White Martians in.
Amanda Waller has to be put in her place by
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn, who tells her, basically, woman, you have no right to say anything here. This is your queen. You must listen to your queen. That's your role.
Yeah.
And that's when Amanda Waller even shuts the hell up and goes, yes, I'll do whatever you tell me. Exits. We cut to the L's going to make some weapons and stuff to kill off the Martians.
Yeah.
Another cut after that, our final cut.
Amanda Waller goes to the White Martians.
With somebody.
Deadshot.
Yes. We get a medieval Deadshot for the first time.
Looks just like Deadshot.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, it's still cool, though.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think he's in, like, a Tunic.
Yeah.
And we learned Amanda Waller's been working with the White Martians this whole time. Has some degree of, like, protection against them. She made a deal with the devil that gives her, like, hellfire if you try and touch her.
Yeah.
So she, like, burns one of them completely to a crisp. It's like, you can't stop it. Hellfire never stops burning. Yeah, don't play against
She
me.
goes there on, I wouldn't say a peaceful mission, but she goes there as a friend. And then one of the White Martians loses his crap because she's talking to Protex like they're on equal terms.
Calls her, like, Flash or whatever.
And so this White Martian tries to attack her and gets burned to death. And that's when Protex and Amanda Waller get that mean stare down where the issue ends. And Amanda Waller's like, I thought we had a plan. This was all going well. You destroyed it. You ruined our plan. But I'm going to give you another shot. And then we got a to be continued right after.
Yeah.
This book was really good. It moved. It didn't skip a beat. A whole 11 issues of this title. This is one of the most interesting Elseworlds books I've ever read. They're changing and playing with some of the backgrounds and themes of all of these characters. I think the only thing that's actually driving me up a wall a little bit is all of the damn emotions in the book. I know that Tom Taylor does this kind of stuff a lot. He really likes to pour on the feels, but I feel like a Dark Knights of Steel medieval times kind of thing. I think we should have skipped some of these emotional beats and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we should have been pouring on this a little bit thicker. But I suppose we've been doing that for 10 issues, right? And this is the only issue where it just got really emotional for a while and stuff. So it's kind of hard for me to swallow it all at once, I guess is what I'm really trying to say.
Right. All the emotional beats were put into this issue.
Yeah, Bruce wakes up and basically becomes a different person this issue.
Yeah.
And me being the huge Batman fan, that's going to bother me a little bit. But I love the title. I love what's going on.
And I think the seed's been sown throughout when he meets the Titans.
It makes sense. Yeah.
We get where he's coming from. He just hasn't had the moment to
This is just bothering
enact his
really bothering me on more like a writer's standpoint. Like if I were writing this series,
you would have spaced all these moments out.
I would have tried to build Bruce's momentum to becoming a more understanding character, which Tom Taylor did, with him landing in the Titans and Titans teaching him to be a decent person.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I would have done even more. I don't like it when you lump everything into one issue as much, but it was fine. It was good. It was really, really good. It was just as good as the other two titles that we just talked about.
And again, one thing I want to commend Tom Taylor on throughout this entire book is that not only does he change the lore of the characters from the main universe, he changes the lore of the characters from within his own title. He's constantly shifting the status quo in one way or another. Yeah. Keeps the book really invigorating.
We still don't know who the Green Man is either. Could be anybody. The Green Man could be the one that comes and kills the White Martians and stuff, saves everybody.
Yeah, I imagine it's Martian Manhunter.
It very well could be. I got to pay some serious compliments to Yasmin Putri, who I think I've said in a prior Weekly Wednesday Warrior that I wasn't a fan of hers or theirs when this started, but I think her art fits this stuff so well. I think the only person that could have been doing this better is Dan Mora. That's just because I put him on any title that I'm reading. I don't care. But they're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Yeah. They're from the colors by Prianto to the line work. It all fits medieval times really, really well. The designs are really good. The color schemes are really fitting. I don't want to really just make some vague associations and praise on the comic book on the art. So there's a specific panel where Bruce is talking to Alfred, like we were talking about, Martian Manhunter, what do you want to call him, and they're divided by. There's a panel where he's being honest, and there's another. I'm going to pull it up. There's another panel where him and Alfred are divided by a wall, and then underneath that panel, they have broken that wall, and there's a shadow of the wall behind them, and they are now joined. If you look at this and you look at it from like a meaningful metaphorical standpoint, there's a lot there. There's a panel where Bruce is pouring everything out. The wall divides them, the wall dissipates, and they become a family yet again. It was a really interesting use of the surroundings and the nature of the setting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was easy because he's behind bars. Of course, there's going to be a wall there. How do you make use of the wall? That's probably not even something that was driven by Tom Taylor as much as it was the actual artist. Tom Taylor does have moments like this, but that was so artistically setting relevant that I have a feeling that might have been Yasmin Putri trying to make the scene even more weightier than it was supposed to be. Yeah. So there's just a lot of moments in this comic book that if you spend the time to look at it, you can really take a lot from. But just like any other Tom Taylor book, if you don't want to spend that time, you can just read the whole book, and you're still going to enjoy yourself. Yeah. So that's why you should buy it, is because it's good on several levels. It's a good comic, it's a good story, it's good art, it's good writing, it's good. It's one of the best iterations of Elseworlds I've ever read.
Yeah.
And it's 12 issues long, which is very uncommon for an Elseworlds book in addition to that. I think we've chewed this one up. There's only one other panel that I wanted to mention, and that's when Queen L, I forgot what her first name is, there's this moment at the end of, something like that. There's a moment at the end of one of the pages where she's talking about her serious intentions, but they've only done like a mid-shot on her face. Wow. You get her eyes, her nose. You don't need anything else. You don't need her mouth. You don't need the background. They're focusing on a part of her face and her expression that sells the hell out of the words that she's saying. And it's really impressive. Again, props to Yasmin Putri for pulling it off. Waller is clearly the bad guy.
Yeah. And again, another twist in the end of this book. We don't go in a single issue without switching the status quo. Waller has been our advisor the whole time. There's not, like, from canon we know she's untrustworthy, but in this story she's been a good advisor.
Yeah.
And, like, fits a role in this story that makes
I
sense.
did not see that.
No, me neither. And it makes entire sense given her character.
Yeah, yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is typical Amanda Waller stuff.
It makes me think too that that Protex and his gang might not even be doing this if it wasn't for Amanda Waller's connection and making this capable for them to do. So she's, in my eyes, she's the true bad guy even more than Protex. Protex is being used by Amanda Waller to give the kingdom of the elves the entire the world, I guess. You got anything to add here, Chris?
Yeah, praising the colors just a little bit more.
Sure.
One thing I haven't seen in the rest of these books is use of both warm and cool tones to build depth on the face.
Yeah.
And that's all over this book.
Yeah, it is.
And not only in the faces, which I always thought was really impressive. In the environments, there's a great... And all these, the color fits the mood of the scene. There's like this melancholic sunrise, and both the tone...
There's no electricity in the book, so all of the lighting has to be made official.
But they pick
real
settings that allow for the emotion of the scene to even soar higher, as well as put a lot of interesting tones on the faces. I think that's something that Yasmin Purdy does have some direction in, because it feels very synergized. I feel like these must be like a regular team that are giving notes to one another. Because it just works so well together. Yeah, the colors and the art are married very well.
Yeah, I think that this is another perfect title. I don't know that, unless they threw Dan Moore on it, I don't know that there's anybody else I'd rather have doing this title.
No.
So the art is fitting, story's fitting, probably one of the best Elseworlds books there is, at least coming out today, that's for sure. There's not a lot of those on the wall anyway. Covers are always good, those Dan Moore covers. Yeah. Pretty sweet. I think we beat this one to death.
Yep.
Say?
Yep.
Moving right along. We got Joker, the man who stopped laughing, number 9. I paid an extra $1 and got the Lee Bermejo variant. Chris has the regular cover.
Yep, by Carmine DGN.
Which I feel like, didn't you tell me you have like family ties to Lee Bermejo somehow?
Sort of.
Like maybe I should start pulling you these covers so you can get them signed or something.
Yeah.
Absolutely sweet. This is the last, potentially our last. If we get around to it, we might be able to do Batman for you guys.
Yeah.
But theoretically, this is our last title, and that's because I think both me and Chris feel like it's our best title. And I think that's half because Francesco Francavilla is the backup artist on this book again.
Yeah. I liked Daredevil more. But again, that's like my favorite comic ever. Just because of how and when I read it.
If somebody explained to me the different dimensions in Catholic Hell and Catholic God and Catholic whatever...
Go right over your head.
This Daredevil probably would have been the best book here. But since I spent, 5 minutes trying to figure out where Matt Murdock even was in the context of the Marvel Universe, it just takes away from it the experience. Yeah. I don't have that problem with Joker. If anything, every line in Joker brings me more into the experience of reading this comic. Yeah. There's a joke on every page in this issue.
And some of them are really good.
They're really, really funny. Do you want to handle the summary?
Yeah, sure.
You can work your way through it. I'll chime in if I think you need any help.
Yeah. So, we're picking up on both plot lines. Last issue, Joker was fighting Killer Croc for Solomon Grundy.
One of the Jokers.
The Joker in Gotham, but they both end up in Gotham, so... let's call this one Joker A. We'll lose track of this real quick.
Not 2 A and B's. One's in Gotham, one's not yet in Gotham. We can handle the next issue. We'll solve that problem.
Okay.
There's Gotham Joker, there's LA Joker.
Yeah. Fights Killer Croc, electrocutes him. Really good joke in there. I think we'll touch on it later.
There is some hilarious jokes. Yeah. I just can't.
Throughout this book, they really put you in the mind of the Joker because everything has a joke to it. There's always an internal monologue. His internal monologue is like a comedy show. Yeah. And I think that's great. That's like such an inspired writing choice, in my opinion. Yeah. And the jokes, again, come as literal. They can be violent jokes, physical jokes, inner monologue jokes, literal jokes in talking. There are puns in this book. The laughs never stop. The whole issue was funny. Yep. Matthew Rosenberg might have a secret career as a comedian. Yeah. Well, because it's been 9 issues. Like, he has to keep coming up with these. Yeah, and I think he's somehow forming even further into being the Joker himself, maybe.
faith.
Yeah.
In fact, the backup might be just a little
It's
bit...
a manifesto.
It might be a little self-poking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, the Gotham Joker's fighting Killer Croc, and LA
Killer Croc,
and electrocutes the hell out of him. And for Grundy's sake, it seems really like it seems like Joker has no reason to do this other than Grundy helped him out, so he's trying to help Grundy out.
Yeah.
He's really empathetic of the Joker, almost out of character. But since it's a Joker, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he could shoot Grundy next issue, and I believe it.
So it's all still in character somehow, which is stunning.
Because
right?
part of Grundy being his friend is the joke. It's almost the punchline to his interaction with Killer Croc.
Right, and Joker can choose to do whatever he wants on a panel-to-panel basis, and it's still swallowable.
Yeah.
So then we got the LA Jokers on a road trip to Gotham.
He's 11 miles out, I think. He's very close. With
what seems to be an Uber driver, he's paying very well.
No, it's Kill Him Off.
Oh, yeah. It is totally Kill Him Off. You wouldn't even know in this issue unless you read the prior issue. There are no reference to Moth. In fact, you would think Killer Moth is a little fire crazy and stuff, and he's trying to get Joker to fire things less. Yes. Joker goes and blows up a gas station. Killer Moth makes a comment that, dude, can you stop doing that? Like, I just want some coffee.
Yeah, well, presumably Joker has never done a favor for Killer Moth his entire trip.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And
while they're on their way back to Gotham,
yeah.
Mr. Waffles wakes up. This dead guy they've been carrying his corpse around is alive.
We've been both the audience, ourselves, and the characters in the book have been under the impression has been dead for the 2 issues.
And just wakes up. Everyone. It's almost another comedic cutaway. Everyone screams right into...
Hilarious. Even Joker is shocked by the waking up of Mr. Waffles. I'm glad you remembered that name, because I forgot what his name was.
It's so good.
It's a really good name. And then what? Joker, the Gotham Joker.
Both Jokers are putting together a gang.
Oh, we haven't even gotten there. Gotham Joker shows up to the ventriloquist who's at a movie theater watching a movie called Beat the Devil. I did some research on this flick since I wasn't familiar with it. I think you'd like it a lot. It was a 1950s flick.
Probably
barely colored. And apparently it was supposed to be a parody of another movie that had come out 10 years prior. Oh. So it's even a joke on those kinds of movies, even further from that.
Yeah.
I really think you should go home and watch this tonight.
Yeah.
It's called Beat the Devil. It's, from what I read on Wikipedia and collected, it seems to be a flick about chaotic relationships and the results of dishonesty.
Yeah.
It's pretty on theme. And I figured, that's why I looked it up. I figured Matthew Rosenberg being one of the most capable writers in comics today, why would he incorporate the name of the movie unless it was relative to the stuff that we were reading?
Very poignant for the ventriloquist. That's
awesome.
Basically his dynamic.
Yeah, and that too, I hadn't even put that together as much. But the Joker walks into the theater in the middle of the flick.
With Grundy. Grundy's in the back.
But we don't find out right away. It's a panel, right? Now I'm going to pull up the page. It's a panel, just the ventriloquist are watching the thing. The ventriloquist is like, let me know when the scary part's gone. And he's talking to Scarface. And then Joker enters. Just Joker and ventriloquist. Ventriloquist is shocked, like, well, what do you want? And Scarface is like, you better get out of here, I'm going to kill you. And Joker's like, I've never been more offended than I am right now. I've just been threatened by a puppet. And the next panel, you see his muscle, which is Solomon Grundy carrying a bag of popcorn and a soda. So he took Grundy out to a movie. It was really nice of him. He's really trying to treat Grundy to a good time for helping him out.
Yeah.
And he threatens the ventriloquist and tells him that the ventriloquist and Scarface has to now go and find people that are willing to join effectively his army that is going to go to war with this other Joker that is on its way to Gotham.
Yeah.
And the other Joker arrives.
The LA Joker puts together a pretty competent gang, I would say.
Without even doing so, right?
Yeah, they're waiting for him.
He shows up in Gotham, and the joke is
Joker is like going into... Scarface is like, I've gathered the people.
Not even that joke. There's, who's the guy driving him? Firefly? Killer Moth. Killer Moth asks him, what are you even expecting when you get to Gotham? And Joker's like, a welcoming party, of course. We just got to see who throws it.
Right.
And so there's been no talk that he's building a team or anything, right? And then we get there, and he's talking to Clayface. And Clayface seemingly is the one who went out and got everybody.
Right.
Which makes sense, because Clayface helped him earlier in the series as well.
Yeah.
So he must have some sort of communication ability with Clayface.
Yeah, he paid him, or is going to pay him.
They've been in cahoots.
Yeah.
As about as accurate as we can say has gone on. But yeah, if you continue from there.
Right, so there's this really cool, or funny almost, paralleling sequence where both Jokers are going to meet their welcoming party, and ventriloquist is like, gather your gang together. We see the rogues of villains. Next panel, not the right Jokers looking at the rogues of villains.
Right.
The wrong Joker comes in and he's like, what is this? And what they've gathered together is a random 43-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read every Joker
Sure.
makes,
Yeah,
because I think they're funny.
Yeah, they are.
He asked the guy, how old are you? 43. I said how old you are, not the year you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other guy is just a clown. Joker asks him, why do you want to work for me?
He says, clowns are mad cool, yo!
And Joker goes, of course. And then the other...
Last one's the best one.
Yeah. I didn't...
There's a giant gorilla in a cage.
Yeah. He's like, this isn't Jackanapes, because he wanted to get Jackanapes back. And he's like, yeah, we don't know how to find Jackanapes. We know if he was a person or a gorilla. We don't really understand how you speak or what you mean when you speak.
Right. Ventriloquist is trying to...
And then Joker's like, did you just grab the first gorilla you found? And they're like, yeah. What else are we going to do?
And he says, that's fine.
Yeah.
And in addition to that...
so Joker has this gang of...
They're unsure of who Jackanapes is to him, right? But they also say, we just figured that you'd call the first gorilla you saw Jackanapes.
Yeah.
Is what they said. So they're not even sure that Joker really wanted a specific gorilla either. They were under the impression that's what he calls all gorillas. And so now this gorilla is now Jackanapes for sure, too. That's where this is going to go from here. But yeah, we flash back to the other Joker who has an actual squad. The LA Joker walks in on like
Crazy Quill, Mad Hatter.
Yeah, I was supposed to pull this out and list them all out, unless you have them all listed.
No, I just remember some of them because
Crazy Quill, Mad Hatter, KG Beast is there.
That's weird.
Well, why not? I think it's just everybody Rosenberg or everybody that Giannomenico probably wanted to draw.
Yeah.
And so they just let that go. Tweedledee, Tweedledum, Rat King, or whatever that guy's name is.
Yes, sir.
Rats. He's in the sewers usually. I don't remember what his name is. Who is that dude? I don't know who that dude is. There's an unknown. There's one unknown. We got everybody else, though, I think. And this dude with a bunch of piercings, I'm not sure who he is either.
Yeah.
Clearly a more commendable squad than the Gotham Joker.
Right, who has put together a team of delinquents and the elderly. And a gorilla.
And that's basically where it ends, is they both got their team. Now we're going to see where it goes after that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go over my notes overall here, because there's just a bunch. I want to give this opening joke a moment, too. They caught a man breaking into the zoo in order to have sex with a crocodile the other night. They just let him go, though. Turns out it's not that unusual. A lot of men suffer from reptile dysfunction. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Fighting
good.
Killer Croc.
There's a lot of, I know that we've talked about the chaotic line work that comes with Giannomenico that fits this book like nobody else's business. But even the layouts I'm noticing are chaotic. I think this guy, even on a layout process, goes, I'm just going to draw shit.
Yeah.
Just puts things where he thinks it belongs and then goes for it, you know? And the lines are really loose in addition to that.
Right.
We said the thing was filled to the brim with humor. I wanted to note that everything looks really dynamic and moving. Like, everything looks moving. I don't even know how you do that in a comic to get everything moving so well. This guy is seriously perfect for the job. Ravager breaks Red Hood out. That's the only portion that we missed.
Yeah.
There is when we keep missing the Red Hood stuff because it's really in the background of this comic. It's really not that important, but it's obviously going somewhere. Red Hood's been in jail and is being transferred from one prison to the other. Ravager goes and breaks him out of this bulletproof truck, which is also up Rosenberg's alley. He's written both of these characters prior. There was like a Future State book that he got to write, which was the main characters were Ravager and Red Hood and their relationship and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought this was a tie-in from Task Force Z. I don't remember.
That too?
I didn't. Oh,
that too. Ravager wasn't in Task Force.
Okay.
Red Hood was the main character.
I assume that's where the relationship came from.
Yeah. You got anything to add to the A story here?
No.
B story is a real simple thing, right?
Yeah.
The Joker dies. Batgirl might have killed him by dropping him off of a bridge by accident.
Yeah.
Seems really not up Batgirl's alley. She's far more capable.
I think the reason she drops him off the bridge, the police tell her to put her hands up, and she's like, I'm holding a guy, and they make her do it anyway.
It's a joke, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And so the Joker is thought to be dead, but Jim Gordon is losing his mind and is like, no, the Joker's not dead. It's not possible. He always comes back.
Yeah.
So he goes through the rest of the next 4 or 5 pages chasing down random stuff he thinks is going to be the Joker. Like, somebody freezes somebody, and they're like, it's obviously Mr. Freeze. And he's like, that's what you want you to think.
Yeah.
And he becomes uber paranoid. He even stops, like, a truck driver and, like, a bank robber, and is like, take me to your boss! And with, like, a gun. And then he gets called into the police department, and they're like, Jim, you got to stop chasing this down. The Joker is dead. And Jim's
they
like,
find his body.
Right, they find his body.
And they take out, like, his organs and everything.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
And Jim's like, no, there's no way, he's still out there. And whoever's in charge of Jim is like, you got to turn your badge in if you're going to keep on doing this. And Jim willingly does so. Then he continues to be a police officer anyway.
Right.
Starts menacing anybody he could come by.
He finds Gaggy, and he's just putting a gun in Gaggy's
at a
face.
circus with a bunch of other clowns around him. And, he puts a gun, he shoots Gaggy, in fact.
Yes.
And then he realizes that the only way that he could find the Joker is to get into the mind of the Joker so that he can know where the Joker is. And then Jim Gordon becomes the Joker and the issue ends.
Yes.
So, again, this one was filled with a lot of jokes. One of the best ones was where he just stops a random truck driver and, like, threatens to kill him because he thinks he's the Joker.
I love what the morgue attendant said. He's like, the Joker isn't dead. He's like, I sure hope he's dead because I just removed all his organs.
And there's some faces that Francesco Francavilla is using Jim Gordon's face.
That was from Black Mirror, right?
And
I think he's homaging himself from Black Mirror.
Well, here's the thing. Anytime that Jim Gordon is being drawn by Francesco Francavilla, it looks like Black Mirror.
Right, but I think they do that layout.
They
I remember something like
I believe you, but I really can't iterate enough. Every time Francesco Francavilla draws Jim Gordon, it looks just like that.
Yeah.
These like crazy neon colors, this really, really solid mustache, the big thick rimmed glasses, you could tell it's Jim Gordon. And the purpose of this in the backup story is to show his immersion into craziness. The face starts out, it's like on both pages, I'll pull it up so we know what we're talking about. It's on both pages, but as you turn the page, the face gets crazier and more crazy, and by the time the book ends, now he's the Joker. He's losing it over that.
And
Jim Gordon's.
I'm going to give some grief to the printing department on this one. That's a double page splash right there, and that is not printed on 2 pages next to each other, as they clearly should be viewed.
No, it's a real shame that it isn't. In fact, I was really hoping that was the case, but it's not.
There's an ad break in between it.
Yeah, they shouldn't have.
There's a double page ad break in between it.
This is they messed that one up, but it's still pretty good. Francesco Francavilla is one of the best.
Yeah,
and, he killed this story. I like that there's a continuing theme here, right? That Joker's looking for love. He thought Barbara Gordon was like hitting on him for a moment. And,
before she killed him.
And an additional theme is the multiple Jokers thing. That there is a second Joker in here, which would be Jim Gordon again.
And in the main story, we're finally starting to pay off some of the things because Jackanapes transcends from the side stories to the main story.
Yes.
So we're bringing over more elements.
Maybe we'll even see Gaggy. I still think that they could tie all this stuff together too, in some way or fashion.
Gaggy's dead. I think he dies in 3 Jokers.
Totally possible. That's books Elseworld. That's a Black Label book.
Okay.
You got anything to add to this backup?
No.
I love how Francesco Francavilla draws Jim Gordon, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the best to do it. It's a really simple design, the glasses, mustache on an overcoat.
Oh, yeah.
But he really does a good job.
He has... Francavilla's, boiled in both, noir and horror.
Yeah.
So, a character like Jim Gordon, who is, a quintessential detective, design-wise, everything.
Yeah.
It just... Besides, a monster character, that's his sensibilities right there. Really that's what he does best.
That's for sure. And the last note I got on this is that in the beginning they were on a bridge. Joker was being hung over the bridge. The bridge is called the Sprang Bridge.
Oh yeah, Dick Sprang.
It's a reference to Dick Sprang, who's very famous for the old serialized newspaper Batman comics and stuff.
Yep. I'll mention that I wrote a note to mention that Jackanapes is in this issue. I just wrote Fakenapes. That's all I wrote.
That's really good. I cannot stress how funny this book is. The reason to buy this book, it's fucking hilarious. I don't even like to curse. This is the funniest thing I think I've read or watched in 2 weeks. I have not laughed more than I've laughed reading this comic, other than laughing at literal humans on Earth. This thing is, I can turn to any page and there's going to be something I find funny on it. There's a great line right here. Killer Croc is in the sewer. Joker's about to take him out. Joker goes, this is going to come as a shock. He takes 2 weapons, shocks the hell out of Killer Croc, and then says, but I'm tougher than I look. Come on! Come on! It's so good. It's so good.
You can really see the Brooklyn here right
Really?
now. No.
Oh, okay.
It's just the come on thing.
But yeah, it comes out every now and then. But yeah, man, I don't. This book is fantastic. There's nothing more to say here. Should we move on?
Yeah.
So Weekly Wednesday Warriors, we're gonna do Batman. We're gonna do this as quick as we possibly can. We were only supposed to do the 4, but we're gonna try and do the 5th book for you guys today because it was a great week in comics. We got Batman 136.
Great cover.
The issue after issue 900. Yes, 136 does not come after 900. DC doesn't give a damn about numbers. Great cover by Jorge Jimenez.
They switch it up whenever convenient.
And I honestly forgot about the reason why this cover is even here. Actually, Batman is staring at his hand. Looks like he is broken down. This is a summary for the entire issue.
Yeah.
His hand is gone. I went to go and read this issue, and I was like, oh, let me reread the last issue. And he loses his goddamn hand in issue 900.
Yeah.
He's
Is he
got-
his hand in this issue?
He gets...
I just wasn't paying attention.
You know what?
I guess.
It slipped right past us. It was in issue 900. Dark Knight Returns Batman gives him a mechanical hand.